All right, hey everybody, what's happening? It's Ed O'Keefe, and welcome to a quick update and Q&A with just commonly asked questions that are coming in. Hey, want to update you on a few things. One is what's going on with the podcast, what is going on with business and life, and then also just kind of update from the home front. And there's a lot going on. So the easiest way for me to update all my friends and my Facebook friends and my network is to kind of organize my thoughts through the podcast, through video, and get reconnected to some of you while staying connected with those that I've been in touch with for a long time. First of all, let's talk about the podcast. Number one thing that I could ask as a favor, as a friend, is could you please subscribe to the podcast? And if you like what we're doing, I just had some amazing guests, just had Dominic Cruz, which is, without a doubt, the greatest bantamweight of all time in the Ultimate Fighting Championship. That interview, you can find it both on YouTube and as well as on iTunes. Please download it, though, on iTunes, because that's where we get the most amount of it just helps the channel grow, frankly, and share it with the people that are into like fighting and MMA. But really, Dominic and I talk a ton about what it's like to compete, what is it like to get to the top of the mountain, so to speak, and be a champion and then face injuries and just so much adversity. The 100th episode that we just did with the podcast was with Nick Norris, which I did that a day later. And that was amazing. Nick is a former Navy SEAL, served with Jocko I always screw this up, so I always try and apologize before I screw up. Is just not articulating properly. He was underneath Jocko's command, so he got to experience actually how Jocko leads. And so I'm going to do a separate podcast on that one topic because Nick and I had some great conversations separately. And coincidentally, on that trip, I bumped into Jocko at his gym, which was a really cool experience. He was super humble, super friendly. And but my interview with Nick is something that I think like parents of athletes should listen to. I think it benefits everybody. I really took, out of all the podcasts I've been doing, the last 5 or 6 I've done with interviews, and some of the guests have just been outrageously tremendous. And I really just ask that you flip them on your auto download so that you can experience it as well. I'm going to put a lot of substantial time into that because it's something I just love doing. It's something I started doing like 5 years ago, and I would kind of go through these sprints and then sprints and pause. This time just really committed to getting people that I want to talk to on the podcast that I think you'll benefit from. So then we had Roland Frasier. One of my existing mentors right now is Travis Sago. Most people don't know who Travis is. I really believe if you're in business, I believe the same thing about Roland is if you're in business, you need to listen to that episode. But Travis Sago has just such a unique framework of the world and how he keeps things so simple with business that I think you'll really, really like it. No matter where you're at in this scheme of life, whether you're super advanced or you're just starting out, Travis has a way of just simplifying things down to like, how do we just keep this as easy as possible? One of the jokes I made in our interview is like, I spent 6 days screwing things up. And then when I'm on our mastermind call with Travis, he just, reminds me of how simple life should be. And very much a lot of conversation around how do you look at your value assets, and not just in the investing perspective that we traditionally look at, but like, how do you find undervalued assets sitting around you right in front of you and turn those into high valued assets? And so he has a whole process for doing that. It's pretty remarkable. So on the podcast now, last thing I'm going to say about that, and I'm going to move forward a little bit. I have a lot of back issues, like with Jesse Itzler, David Goggins, Lewis Howes, Tim Larkin, and just amazing guys that I really recommend you just going back and checking them out. It's been really quite a journey looking back on my life, in the sense that how many people I've met and been able to have access to and be able to share, and continue to do more of that. Okay, so that's number one. Number two, what's going on with work and what am I up to? So the last few months, I've been helping Roland Frasier with Consulting for Equity, the coaching program, and it's been amazing. And if you're still interested in stuff in that, you can go to consultingforequity.io. It's a great business model. I will not actively be working side by side with Roland as far as teaching it as of this summer. But I can help support people that want to get into it. So if you have questions on that, feel free to PM me and I could support you on that. Otherwise, just reach out to Deanna Rogers or Roland and they can get you squared away as well on that. I will be speaking at a few of the events, and so I look forward to doing that as well. Life's pulling me in a direction that I kind of stumbled into, which is it's almost like, looking back on it, it's been like 20 years of preparation bringing me to what we're focused on now, which is I stumbled into helping businesses grow pretty rapidly through buying leads and also monetizing and growing their lifetime values through selling their leads. And it kind of happened on accident. This is not a new business model, but it is for me. And it's one that I think a lot of internet marketers or people that are selling supplements, newsletters, financial newsletters, and in the tactical space as well, can benefit greatly from, because it allows companies who are looking to grow to build their mailing lists and their buyer lists very, very rapidly. And so what does that entail? So what that looks like is, let's just say, because I've tried to explain this, or I've explained this to a few people, is let's say you're in the health business and you're looking to grow your buyer file. And I'll give you a real world example here in a second. Is you, instead of going out and running, say, Facebook ads or YouTube ads or Google ads, and you're going to this big ocean of people, and then your whole sales process has to sift, sort, and screen those people, you could partner with us. And I have a partner that does 40,000 new health customers a month that are specifically supplement and newsletter buyers in, say, blood pressure, diabetes, memory, sleep. And as we're talking, we're adding more niches and conditions weekly. And say your company does webinars or sells, say, like, help with type 2 diabetes. Instead of you going out and like going super cold to the market and trying to sift, sort, and screen those people, which could be an arduous, difficult process, you could literally buy our leads from us after they buy our products, and we register them with you as well. And you know for a fact that you have people interested in what you're selling, that they have a problem, and that they are already willing to try and solve their problem, and they're willing to spend money. Those are like the 4 biggest criteria when choosing mailing lists, going out to the market, identifying your best buyers, right? You can't really get more targeted than that. Okay. Now, we also have that in one of our tactical brands. We run giveaway funnels where people buy, like, say they get like a laser, like a gun laser, and they may buy it free. They might get it free, but do shipping and handling. And we sell them a newsletter, and we have other products that we sell them. But we also co-register our leads with other either tactical brands or conservative newsletter publications. That's very common. That's something that most people aren't really accustomed to, except people who are in that market. But they'll take our buyers and they'll start sending them news articles daily, and they have a system of monetizing it, which on our show and in our podcast, I will be releasing best practices for all those ways, like how to get more leads, how to monetize the leads, what we're seeing across our multi-7 and multi-8-figure brands, because what they're doing is who you should be following as a roadmap, and it allows you to grow rapidly. Now, there are downsides to it, so let me explain the downsides to it. Number one is, let me tell you one super, super big benefit. we're also able to extend financing for people up to 30, 60 days even with the right partners. Not everybody, with the right partners, talk to me. We figure out what you're trying to do with your business, and if it makes sense, we can extend that. But what that allows you to do is buy a lead for, say, I'm going to give you a range because it depends on the market, but 30 cents all the way up to, say, $3 per lead, up to $5 per buyer, right? Depending on what you're looking for. And then you don't have to pay for that for 60 days. So if you have a proven funnel, proven new customer sequence, a proven offer sequence, you could buy our leads, make money for 60 days, get to break even, get to profitability, and then pay for that lead 60 days later. It's unheard of. Like, no one does this. If I was just starting out, or if I had been in business for a long time and I wanted to grow my mailing list, this is like the biggest no-brainer offer that you could ever have an opportunity to take advantage of. The downside is you have to be working on inboxing. Inboxing is the number one issue that big mailers face. It's the number one thing they focus on. It's the number one critical limiting factor. And what I mean by inboxing is just getting your mailing delivered. I'm not going to make a big conversation about this on this video because it's kind of an update video, but we do have trainings on that and we do go extensively into that. We do support our clients on that. So those are two things that we're working extensively on. So if you have any of those desires, just reach out to me, and you can PM me on Facebook, or you can email me at ed@edokeefelive.com. Okay. Number 3. So what's going on in the home front? Like, what's it like growing 7 kids? What's it like raising 7 kids post-pandemic? And there had been issues during the pandemic. So I want to explain a few things. Number one is things are good. We are in a good space right now. We have gone through the ringer in a few ways, but I'll explain that. We're coming out stronger, tougher, and better for it. And I'll ramble on this for a few minutes because I think it's important, and I think it will create value in a few lives just by listening and letting me share this for a minute. Okay. Number one, I'm going to talk about my Keegan post-COVID long haulers and Lyme disease, because that impacted our household out of the blue. And even if you feel like, Ed, this has nothing to do with me, please stick with me for a few minutes, because I have had a neighbor, someone in the neighborhood. I've had family members. I've had people that once they hear what was happening with Keegan, they go, oh my gosh, I have a friend that's going through this, or my daughter's going through this, or I'm going through this, and I didn't realize what was going on. So there's kind of an epidemic underneath, like, that's kind of not being talked about enough, and it's called COVID long haulers. That's very common. It's starting to be talked about on the news, but the interventions are not being brought to the front. And post vax long haulers, and those are two very important things. They're called different things, but they behave in the body in similar ways. Now I've interviewed. Actually, what I should do is just tell you, go listen to the interview I did with Dr. Bruce Patterson on the podcast, because he is Keegan's doctor, and we go into it pretty in depth. But what I want to say to you is this: is that it's like a gunfight happens on your corner. And this is how I explain to everybody: is imagine that you're walking on a street corner. There's 3 bad guys about to jump you. This is a little bit of, kind of storytelling, right? But it's like, okay, one guy has a gun, one has a bazooka, and one has a grenade. And you pick up your cell phone, you call 3 of your friends, and you say, look, I need help. And then your friends come down, and they bring their bazooka, their machine guns, and AKs, and they take care of the threat, right? But in doing so, they take care of the threat. It creates damage on that corner, okay? So let's pretend it's your body, and your body needs time to heal, and it needs its natural processes to come in and heal that space, right? Which your body's designed to do. But the problem is that when people who have experienced, the virus, and then they've had issues, which we call post long haul COVID. Now, the signs and symptoms of this could be anything around, it shows up as chronic fatigue syndrome, very much so. Headaches are very, very prevalent. The holding of the head is very, very common. Losing all taste and smell, that's super common, but it doesn't mean you're a severe long hauler, by the way. But some of the more severe things are neurology issues, heart rate, elevated heart rate over time. Now, if you listen to my interview with Dr. Bruce Patterson, he explains why this is happening very, very specifically and scientifically. Okay. You could also go to his website, covidlonghaulers.com, and there's a video at the bottom of it that shows like kind of a cartoon imagery of all this stuff. Now, the reason why this is happening is because your friends come down, they blow up the corner, the threat is taken care of, but your cell phone doesn't know that. So the next day, there's no threat on the corner, and your cell phone calls 3 more people and says, hey, can you come down and blow up this corner because I'm being threatened? So your friends come down, and 3 new friends come down, and they just obliterate the corner. Well, there was no threat anymore. The threat's gone, but that corner continues to get damaged because your body is sending signals saying, hey, there's a threat. We got to go take care of it. Now, that is exactly what's happening metaphorically with COVID long haulers. Okay. Now, that is also what's happening with post-vaccine long haulers. Now, people aren't going to talk about this that much. Here's why. Because your doctors, for the most part, unless they're studying outside of like the mainstream, they're not going to understand how to see the signs and symptoms of this. Okay. They're just not going to know what to recognize. They're not going to know that this is what's going on. And the reason is because there's this thing called the S1 protein. The S1 protein remains in the body and from both experiences. And it tells your body to send these helpers to go invade it. Plus, there's something that Dr. Patterson talks about of like remnants being stuck on the cells. And part of the treatment protocol that we got Keegan on helps remove that. Now, let me talk about Keegan. So I'm going to make this about 90 seconds because I've talked about this extensively in other places. But Keegan's got the virus. She got COVID in I think end of October 2020. That's how long ago it was. And so after a few weeks, couldn't go to school, couldn't get off the couch, couldn't function. And we had seen specialist after specialist after specialist, doctor after doctor after doctor. And we've gone through this now literally about 5.5, 6 months in. And by the way, we were being told horrible advice, like, oh, she needs a sleep study, she needs to hydrate. There's no such thing as post-COVID or long haulers COVID. I mean, I have my own opinions on that. I've shared this in other places. So I'll keep this nice and light and just a quick update. And then we took her to a doctor, and one doctor, integrative medicine doctor, amazing, Dr. Casey Kelly. And she was like, hey, something's not right here. Let's test her for Lyme disease. And lo and behold, Keegan tested positive for Lyme disease. So not only do we have post-COVID long haulers, we had Lyme disease. And so for the next, literally the next 10 months or so, we were treating her for Lyme. And slightly, I would say, and I think my wife Nola would say that we took our eye off the ball of long haul COVID because we're like, oh, well, it's Lyme disease. That explains it. And so then after 10 months, and I might be off a little bit on my timeline, but this has been a while. This is about a year. This is over a year into it, just to kind of give you a frame of reference. And Dr. Casey Kelly was like, something's not making sense. I think we need to do a cytokine panel testing of these guys out in California. They've been doing all this research. They've been doing all these studies with actual COVID patients. And that is when we got introduced to Dr. Bruce Patterson. Now, skeptical as I was, because we had seen so many doctors at this point, we did so much, but we went through the cytokine testing because it was, I think the total cost at this point for just the cytokine testing and the consult was like $360, right? And if you knew how much we spent up to that point, weekly IVs, NAD+, taking her to Mexico twice, stem cells, treatments weekly for literally, it was such a no-brainer for us to do it, right? he got the panels back. He looked at it. Her, I think 3 or 4 of her cytokine levels, which are post-COVID signs. When just to kind of back up, what are cytokines? Cytokines are your helpers. They're your inflammatory markers that come in to support the body. The problem is with COVID is that it was such a new virus to the body that your immune system had never seen it before, so it kept sending all these helpers. And a lot of deaths came because of oversaturation. That's the best way I can put it for now, anyhow, or hyperactivity of the cytokines, and your body couldn't get rid of them enough and heal the body fast enough. So, and our medical system didn't really know how to treat it. It was brand new, So, anyhow, her cytokine levels were still elevated. Her symptoms, headache, even though she could do some activity and there was windows of energy, she still was, sleeping 12 hours a day, ebbs and flows, a good day followed by a horrible day, followed by a good day, followed by 2 bad days. Like that's kind of what our life has been like over this timeline. And there's nothing worse than having a sick child. I just gonna tell you, I prayed a lot. I was like, I want my daughter healed tomorrow, but I never want to forget what it was like to have a sick kid, because it just brings a humility that you lose when everything's good and going well. And I would give everything away in a heartbeat just to have my kid healthy. Like that's a real visceral thing that when we help people now, we share advice, like you got to go to Patterson, you got to go at these levels, you got to get these testing, you'll know right away objectively. And that was something I prayed for a lot too, is Ben Greenfield was so gracious many times to reach out and support us, was all I wanted was an objective profile that I could say, okay, cool, here is the problem, let's go attack it. And even with Lyme disease, very, very weird is that even though you can measure different parts of Lyme and the co-infections, it doesn't always have a direct correlation to you're being healed or it's dormant. It's kind of a fog of war type of thing. And even to this day, we're still learning. So, some of my language is not perfect on this, but anyhow, so when we met Dr. Bruce Patterson, I have recordings of the consults. Like I might release them someday. And I do share them privately with people who are just curious, because it's like, hey, if your kid's dealing with this, or your spouse is, or you're dealing with this, you should just go get the testing. Go to covidlonghaulers.com, get the testing, get the labs, and do not listen to the critics. Just get after it. Like this is your health, your body, your family, your life. And it's all research-based. They've seen 14,000 COVID patients by this time. So anyhow, we did that. We put on new medication right around the week of Christmas. And that is, so as I'm recording this, March 25th, so that's January, February, March. So that's just about a little almost 3.5 months. And about 2 weeks in, bam, we just started seeing some light bulbs happen. Like, wow, she's doing a handstand. Like a month ago, she couldn't pick up something. That's why it was so interesting. Her favorite love is volleyball. She couldn't pick something off the ground because it would hurt her head. Or trying to play volleyball, she wouldn't dive because that would felt her head felt like it was like filled with like a bowling ball kind of sensation. And so she started doing these things, and then it was like, wow, her color started coming back. Her energy consistently started coming back. She started waking up with a smile rather than waking up looking like she was hungover. You know what I mean? So anyhow, so this has been going on, and so there's just a lot of positive things happening, right? And we're not out of the woods. This is still something. We're still homeschooling her. But the shift that you could see in the household with me and Nola even, and then just our ability to enjoy being with the other kids, our ability to unwind and go out. That's the wrong languaging. Just go and support without like sitting there. I remember going to a wedding, one of my nephew's weddings on a Friday night, and driving there last October or September before we found Dr. Patterson. And my oldest daughter asked if I was doing okay, because she could just see it was just me and her driving to the wedding, and then she was going to babysit while I was there. And I just had tears coming down my eyes, because I was like, I would just give this all up in a heartbeat to have my Keegan healthy. And that was a feeling that I still have. You can still see it. It's just so right there that Noel and I have committed to like supporting as many people as we possibly can with this. And so that visceral, like one conversation away from crying is not necessarily always there anymore. It's a little bit hidden. And so it has allowed us to kind of like free up and lighten up. But I think some of the bigger lessons there is that it shows how vulnerable we all are, and how the things we thought mattered don't matter at all in so many ways. And that going through like the last 2 years and work-wise, which I'll talk about a different situation there, but like the people that stick with you over long periods of time through good, bad, and ugly, the more important parts are bad and ugly, are the people that are going to be sticking with you for a long period of time. Okay. And so it's so nice. The one thing about getting older, people complain about getting older physically, but the beauty about getting older is you start seeing longevity and the relationships that come with longevity. And so some of that became very, very aware, real for me. Like, like I remember reading Harvey McKay's book, Dig Your Well Before You're Thirsty. It's a great book. It's a great book. I haven't heard anyone talk about it in gajillions of years, like I don't even know if anyone talks about it. But it's a concept of like, like your Rolodex is your net worth. Your relationships are your net worth. He's got some amazing practices that, frankly, when I was kind of going through, when I was thinking about all the people that came and helped me out and supported us, we were just, Noel and I and our family, and just kind of even my journey of just being an entrepreneur and trying to do things, always just trying to do the right thing and having integrity and being kind to people. Because as I said recently, like life is more like a merry-go-round. You might be going up, sometimes you might be going down, but it comes full circle all the time. So, the people and how we treat them today is, whether it's tomorrow or a year or comes in a different form, that merry-go-round's coming around. Now, where I saw like an opportunity though for myself was that I didn't have a strategic, structured way of doing it. Like, how do I keep in touch with all these people? How do we make them feel like we still love them? And how do we feel like we can create value without having a systematic process, without trying to just sell people all the time? Because a lot of times in direct response marketing, the whole business model is around offers. Like, hey, if you have an offer, you can grow a business. Well, the problem with just only having offers is you're only trying to sell people things. Even if you're creating value, it's just kind of still the framework. Like, if I can sell you something. Now, where podcasting and social media, and even my friend, you got to listen to my interview with Travis Seigel. We talk about this, how he's just killing it with his sales. Like, his sales are killing it by focusing on by removing the sales pitch and then delivering just ridiculous value. Now, there's still a structure to it, so bear with me on there. There's still a structure to it. You can't just give away all your secrets. Actually, let me back up. I don't know if that's true. You might okay. Let me back up. There's still a structure to what Travis teaches. Like, you have to still solve one problem for a person that they can get a actual result. But when people, and I first heard this, I think, through Perry Belcher, when you get an actual result for somebody, like, it doesn't matter what their goals are. Like, let's say it's to touch the rim. I'm totally making this up. Like, hey, I want to learn how to jump higher. Well, I touch the rim. Well, all of a sudden, or my hand could go over the rim. All of a sudden, they need to know how to palm a volleyball or a basketball because they want to know how to dunk it, right? So trust me, I knew that back in college. I used to go slam a volleyball against the rim 1,000 times. And then I would wait till someone like hung on the rim long enough to where it was a little bit lower and I could dunk on those. I could dunk on those types of rims. But anyhow, so but Travis's whole concept was, hey, how can we create so much value around this one specific topic that creates a breakthrough, that now that person got the breakthrough through you, and now they want whatever else you're going to share with them because they got new problems, right? And I do believe, like, if you look at like how guys sell, if you're going to get people, if you're selling specifically high ticket stuff, but like, you know, post your best advice on YouTube and podcasts, because what I found is that your best buyers, when they hear your best advice, right? Like you don't want to give them a 3-day course because that's not what they want. They want a result. So if you give them insight that helps get the result, and I know I'm rambling on like topic number 6 right now, which that's kind of how, if you and I were having coffee or a glass of wine or working out, we would be rambling about that. It's kind of how I think, right? But you know, it's like is if you get unique insight on something and you're like, wow, that person just helped shift something in my life that has exponential long-term effects, then guess what happens? They're going to want everything from you. They're going to want more access. They're going to want specialized questions specific to them answered. You see what I'm saying? So like, if you're in a business and you're thinking, oh, I can't give away stuff, I can't do this, I can't reveal this. Well, you're thinking backwards. Like for our lead business, I'm prepping on just building out a whole system for my clients, like my partners. They're really partners, they're not clients, because we send them leads. They need to know how to monetize them. They need to know how to get inboxing. They need to know how to track the value. Now, there's guys that are already pros, super pros, that already know how to do all that. So that's easy. So we're looking at other things for them. But the people that are doing 5-6 figures a month, those problems are real. Like, oh, we're going to co-reg. How do we do it? Well, let us just train you on everything. Let us give you all our free stuff away, because we make money and we have a long-term relationship. The better you succeed, right? It flips the whole, it's a triple win, you know? And that's what your business, if you're selling something, how do you make your business a triple, quadruple win, you know? And the triple win came from when I used to help dentists, which is like, hey, the dentist wins, the patient wins, and we win because we were providing services for them. And then in some of these businesses, it's like, well, the dentist, you win, your customer wins, we win, the world wins. It's a very abundant mentality process, right? All right. So what else do you want me to talk about? So, Reese did wrestling. It was awesome. She did wrestling, and it's pretty funny. Girls wrestling now is a big thing. It's becoming a big thing. Iowa got it. Everyone's talking about it. Iowa got it. And if Iowa gets it, it's a real thing now. But I think like what's so cool about that, and I love these lanes outside the mainstream. Like, so it's like you got the big 3, right? You got football, baseball, basketball, right? I played volleyball. I played those sports until I was in 8th grade. I went to my high school thinking I was going to be great at baseball. I walk into baseball practice. I remember this. I remember like walking into baseball, first tryout, and I was probably 5'10", 100 and whatever, 35 pounds, maybe if I was thrown in a pool. And Rich, I forget Rich's last name. It's like I think it's a Polish name, but like Shevchek or something like that. He's 6'4", already getting letters from like the Cardinals. And I was like, okay, so there's like 3 guys either better than me or, you know, what I had no pathway to competing varsity sports with Rich. Rich was going to be on varsity probably by the end of freshman year. And as long as he stayed out of trouble and was a good person, which he was not going to lose that spot. And then that summer, I got bumped into there was a volleyball camp for boys. It was brand new. This was totally brand new. Someone said to me, my sister was playing volleyball. My niece was playing volleyball. I had a sister that went to Pepperdine for volleyball. And my other sisters played volleyball. Like we were a volleyball family. And we were about to get even more of a volleyball family. And what happened next was I went to this volleyball camp. And I fell in love with volleyball. Like, and it was just like love at first experience. And I was good, quote unquote, because I had been playing with my sister. So I was better than no one who'd ever picked up a ball before. And then it kind of set me down that pathway. So the reason I share all that is, and then I went to college, small school, played for 4 years, captain for 4 years, like in which some of that really frames my worldview on competing and playing is that like I went to a smaller school where I played for 4 years. I started out of the gate, timing, luck, all of it kind of worked out. We were a brand new program. So those were some of the luck parts of it. And I have more stories on that phase of life, because there was some just coincidences, quote unquote, getting put on a B team my senior year, club ball, wanted to quit, wanted to throw volleyball out the trash because I had nowhere to go. I stayed, my mentors told me to stick with it because it was the best thing for me. I did, became friends with a buddy. We went to a JUCO that year, didn't play. That buddy, then his name's Pete Chestnut, that buddy then gets, through his high school coach, soccer coach, an opportunity to go to this small school for soccer. And while he's there, they're like, oh, you play volleyball as well. And then next thing you know, he's like, dude, we're going to college together. And then I was able to call my friend Regina. I was like, dude, we're going to college together. And then she ends up marrying my other best friend, Cho. The world, if I would have quit that day, the world would have looked differently for me, And so I always share that with kids, especially trying to make too big of a decision about what's not fair. And I didn't feel it was fair. But as I told one of my kids the other day, I was like, yeah, it is unfair, about a certain circumstance. Like, it's unfair. It is unfair. And I'm sorry you have to deal with this unfairness, but guess what? It's uncomfortable. This is life, and this is unfair. And guess what? You get an opportunity to do. Go experience what it's like to compete, even when it's unfair. And that's going to serve you the rest of your life. So, and it was funny because it was just funny conversations. So, this is definitely a household where we speak directly about these types of things. Grace is playing lacrosse. She's doing great. Mike's doing awesome. He's golfing. Qualified for state last year. For some of you guys probably know that. And then he's, we're trying to get him out of Chicago as much as possible. It's been kind of tough. A couple tournaments got canceled. Had him up at Northwestern University a couple nights a week, thanks to a referral. And he's playing volleyball while also doing golf. Like, this is spring in Chicago. So that gets a little tricky. You're double dipping on that. I fight with myself a little bit. There's a window. So he's wrapping up his sophomore year, qualified for state. I said that already, but just to kind of he's only been playing golf for, picked it up in 8th grade. So now we're at 3 years of golf. Shot a 73 at state on the college course. And then that was day one, blew up a little bit day two. And so my coaching and competitive side, this is my coaching and competitive side, just so you understand. My coaching and competitive side would be like, we need to be training minimally 6 days a week at some level with this, right? And you need to be on the course 4 days a week, like doing 18 holes. That's my competitive side, minimally. Okay. The other side of my shoulder is like, well, he's having fun playing volleyball. We're not doing club. He's just playing. He's playing on my alma mater. I got a story behind that. I actually was the guy who started the program at Mount Carmel. And so there's some love there. But I'm also, trying to be realistic. I'm like, hey, if you want to compete Division I or high Division II or put yourself there, we have a window here of the next year where you got to consistently play at a certain level in golf. And so I vote for letting them play two sports. Like, not even saying that I even have a choice of that, but you know, you got to play two sports because you like it. You're having fun. It allows different parts of your brain. Now, if we go into like, there's always an opportunity. So like, it's like, this is where like learning, it'd be interesting to have like 5 coaches on the show and like listen to my interview with Lloyd Irvin and other people. Like there's a big difference between a guy who's going to be training, you know, 6 days a week for 4 months nonstop versus the kid who's doing it, say 3 days a week and getting his reps in, but he's not like on the course doing that. But you know, there's also intensity of training and excitement for a game. Is like, what would you rather have? A kid that's been playing competitive golf since he's 8, or like a Tiger Woods, like where he's 3, which is, we're talking about rarities right there, first of all, who by the time they're seniors, they're already shooting low 70s, high 60s, but the love of the game is not necessarily is where it used to be. You see this a lot in baseball. You see this a lot in softball. You see this a lot in volleyball. Like we see it in club volleyball. Like, I mean, I don't know. The percentage of kids that are super, super happy and loving playing junior, senior year, that started grinding away super, super young, I would say it's probably like less than 20% of the kids that are playing, or the less than 20% of the kids that have made it that far. I had a great mentor say to me once, like, you know, he's like, Ed, you know, and this is a guy who played professional football, European football, played Division I football, and, you know, and his kids are great athletes. But he's like, you know, Ed, if you look at the club sports nowadays, like 80% of parents are frustrated. They're not getting what they envision, just in general. It's a very tough, like, I'm not saying I have a better way, by the way. So it's very, very tough. So I think you need to let your, you know, and I believe like there's the compression phase where like you have to inject. Like learning happens in condensed frameworks, in emotional frameworks. Now you do need consistency and longevity. But if somebody's not excited and they don't feel like they're chomping at the bit to compete because they're competing all the time, and the oxytocin and all that stuff, the adrenaline, it kind of flatlines on you. You're not doing anybody favors. You're not doing yourself favors. You're not doing the kid favors. The kid's not going to compete well in college. It's just, you know, and stuff like that. Like, I was a late bloomer in volleyball, and I love the game. I love studying the game. So anyhow, that's where we're there with that. Twins now are, you know, 8. They're awesome. Julia's awesome. She's 10. I wish I could see the world through their eyes all the time because for her, like, everything's just awesome, Dad. Everything's just awesome, you know. And she's playing a little volleyball too. I get an opportunity. I coached her 4th grade team this year, and then we're getting in the gym. She's doing club ball. Loves her coach, and then we're trying to get in the gym once or twice a week together, even if it's outside on our sport court. Fun stuff, like just keeping it fun, keeping it light. And then my Keegers is back training as well. We do not have her on a club team yet for my long hauler. We do not have her on a club team. She's practicing with one of the Lions teams, and we'll see where it goes there. So, okay, so I'm rambling a little bit. So let me get back. Okay, cool. That's it. I mean, that's kind of it. I just wanted to update you on everything. If you need anything, we're here to support you. EdO'KeefeLive.com is where everything's going to – there's two main parts. I'm going to start posting everything. Everything's going to go on the website, and then everything's going to be coming on the podcast. And I'll let you know, like there's many different ways to get the podcast. I think I might have one of my site pages up that I could look at. Like you can literally get them on multiple different locations. But yeah, let me know what you're up to. Let me know who you want to hear from. If there's somebody who's in my network, I'm not fishing. I have a couple guys that I read their books. I think they're awesome. I'm going after them as podcast guests. People I'm learning from, I'm going after them. People with great stories that want to promote something that they're doing. You know, we're looking for good people to keep exposing to help them grow. Not too excited, not too worried about how famous people are. More about quality of and value of people, and exposing them to my network. Because like we're having around the campfire, having a drink or having a cup of coffee, getting a workout in together. You know, who do we want to talk to? And so that's what I want to bring to you. So that's it. This was only supposed to be like 12 minutes long, but you can see. Yeah, I love talking and love sharing and love hopefully creating value in your life. So that's it. subscribe, share, recruit 5 people for me. That would help me out a lot. Recruit 5 people between all my podcast guests, Jesse Itzler, Nick Norris, Roland Frasier, Dr. Bruce Patterson, Travis Sago. I got so many good ones coming up. And I know I'm forgetting people. That's it. All right, have an awesome day. We'll talk soon. Bye. Hey, it's Ed again. Hey, one last thing before you leave. First, I really appreciate you taking the time to listen to the show. If you love this show or this episode and know someone who can benefit, please copy it and share it with them. Also, if you can do me a favor and leave a quick review wherever you listen to these podcasts the most, whether it's Apple, Spotify, etc., it really will help us get the message out to more people. That's it. Thanks again, and make it a great day.